I guess our attempt, or his attempt at being commercial, that's not one of my favorite albums there. It just, we kind of lost the spark at that point. Well, that's after we left Warner Brothers. That broke my heart because they were treating us really good. And I don't remember exactly how I think Don went in there and had a meeting with Mo Austin, the president of Warner Brothers at the time. And I don't know what he said, but he pissed him off. Next thing I knew, we weren't with him no more. And that took a lot of the air out of the sails of the Magic Band. Then Don picked up this guy named Andy DiMartino, and I thought that guy was useless. You know, he was sitting there. Here we are, got some of these seasoned musicians, and this guy is sitting there trying to, you gotta play it like this.
Unconditionally Guaranteed is almost a total failure. There are a couple of good tracks on it, but most of it just sounds, well, a bit pathetic at times, really. The musicians don't sound like their heart's really in it. Beefheart comes up with some extraordinary banal lyrics.
You've already revolutionised music once. Very few people do it once, let alone twice, and that becomes difficult, I think, and he's probably struggling with that by this time, and thinking, hey, well, you know, maybe I'll try and become a pop star instead.
When released, Unconditionally Guaranteed was neither a commercial nor a critical success. On the dawn of a tour to promote the album, the entire band quit. A group of session musicians were quickly assembled to replace them, but without his magic band, Beefheart was unable to perform as he previously had.
The set involved things that didn't need much thinking about. I mean, you know, fairly sort of straightforward chord sequences, even stylized chord sequences. And, you know, he sort of, you know, went on tour with a group called Henry Cow supporting him, who were a great deal more far out, if you like, than Beefheart himself was. He was very much kind of, you know, trying to reach the public in more direct fashion.
I think the problem with the so-called tragic band, which is a bit unfair because they were doing their best, really, to try and realise the music. You get the feeling that his heart wasn't in it. He just couldn't even be bothered to really teach them the music. Because later on they said, well, we didn't realise this track was meant to sound like this. They were just doing sort of almost like barroom versions of the tracks. It was something that was thrown together at the last minute, the tour. They had to step in for a band that disappeared and somehow get through it. And I think the people from the group admit that they didn't really quite know what they were doing. I don't think Beefheart really helped in that respect by not really even taking the time to properly teach them the music.
On his return from the tour, Beefheart dropped all but 2 of the live band and assembled a new group of musicians to work on fresh material. He called in both Elliot Ingber and his brother Ira to help compose tracks for the new album.
My brother, myself, and a fellow named Mark Gibbons, very gifted keyboard player, got together here in Los Angeles. And I think at the time Don was still living in Northern California. He was down here quite a lot. And so we started writing songs. Seemed innocent enough. And we had some songs. I think Don had some ideas. He had lots of lyrics, as I remember. And we started writing songs, a few of which were collaborations with myself, with Don, my brother, or Mark Gibbons, my brother. and Don, different combinations, until we felt that we had enough. And I think we ended up rehearsing and then started recording with, of all things, myself playing bass, and I'm primarily a guitarist. And I don't remember why it was I was playing bass. I think there wasn't a bass player around, so I ended up playing bass. I think consciously we were staying away from Magic Band, because I think anything even remotely resembling Magic Band for Don was something he didn't want to go to. They were songs, but because of who he is, they went that direction anyway.
The album Blue Jeans and Moonbeams was completed and released by the end of 1974 and was a critical and commercial disaster. Many noticed that without his core Magic Band, Van Vliet was perhaps a spent force.
Come down the hall, her eyes are flashing, she looking big, I'm feeling small. Rock and roll feeble doll.
All great bands, magic or not, have a chemistry, an alchemy almost. And that's not something either A, you can necessarily sustain indefinitely, and B, something that you can then reproduce with a different set of musicians.
Unless he had these musical directors who were able to understand what he was doing, then the kind of wheels fell off the whole thing, really, because his way of communicating what he wanted wasn't in the standard way of writing out some chord charts or whatever. So this was a problem. He was just left without being able to communicate to these guys. I say, the guys who came in did a reasonable job, but I mean, I don't think they were really helped or really given the chance to shine.
I was disappointed the way it sounded like there was way too much gratuitous effects. There was some early synthesizer stuff that just sounded god-awful to me.